Well, here we are with another episode and show for you today. Welcome, especially if this is your first time on tuning in. We talk about private money. I have good friends on here that are very, very successful real estate investors from all over the country. And if you've been tuning in, you know I have amazing guests. And today is another example of that. My guest, at the early age of only 40 years old, he actually retired as corporate vice president for mergers and acquisitions and national banking. He's completed over 100 transactions per year in real estate consistently every year, and that's without a sales team or an assistant and virtually no marketing costs. So I know you want to hear how in the world he does that. Well, he's traded over 5,000 investment properties in less than 5 years. He's developed 5 real estate holding companies and owns more than 250 rental units. Well, man, if he is not a multi-millionaire over more than one time. He built a real estate enterprise, including a brokerage, rental management, investment, settlement, and appraisal services in addition to all that. And if that's not impressive enough, he's also got 7 books that he's authored. One is called Rental Profits Without the Pain, Flipping for Profits Without the Risk, Turning Rental Problems into Real Estate Profits, Wholesaling for Profits so everybody wins, Investor Agent, Make More Money, Not More Work, the Massive Passive Cashflow Method. And then in addition to that, his 7th book, Real Estate Realty, The Truth Behind No Money Down Investing. Well, he's the founder, he's the trainer, he's the coach of the Path to Profit system. And he's taught, and his system has taught more than 20,000 agents and investors alike. And he's had almost 1,000 speaking engagements. So put on your seatbelt for an amazing show as we bring on my good friend and guest, Mr. Gary Wilson. Hello, Gary, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Jay. Thank you very much. And thank you for that very gracious introduction. I feel like I need to squeeze my head back down and get back on screen here.
That is amazing. Well, you know, you've been involved in so many different aspects of real estate. Let's go back to the beginning and let's hear your story on how you even got into real estate.
Sure. Well, it actually just a lucky break. I mean, I was always, ever since I was a kid, I would design houses. I mean, when I was 8 years old, my grandfather taught me how to use the right terms and methodology to design floor plans. Man, that's kind of freaky for an 8-year-old kid, but just what I did. And I always wanted to build houses, buy houses, look at houses. In any case, college freshman year roommate, his name's Socrates, his dad was a Greek immigrant and a big investor in Richmond, Virginia. And when we graduated, he told us, he said, you boys aren't going to rent, you're going to buy. And so we put an offer on a property that ended up being basically a fun house by the beach, not to make money. And we called him, and he called us back and said, get out of that deal, you're idiots. I'm going to come down and show you what to do. So he helped us get a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom rancher in Virginia Beach for $63,000. And we rented out the other 2 bedrooms to 2 other guys whose rent pretty much covered all of our costs. We had 3 mortgages on this, Jay. We assumed the first mortgage, which was a VA mortgage, refinanced the owner's second, and then we gave him a third note for the remaining equity. And that was the big, that was the rest they say is history. That's how we got started, you know.
And what year was that?
January 1986.
Woo, mercy.
Yeah.
You started before I did. I didn't start till 2003.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So anyway, well, what an amazing journey. So, I mean, you got all these businesses, and you've got it automated to where, you know, you're not spending, you know, every waking moment of your life in the businesses. What are some of the secrets to being able to automate, have so many businesses, and have it run the way you do?
Yeah. Well, really, the key is the people, and I learned this through the School of Hard Knocks. So I'm on my 7th business. So some of them I've sold, some I merged. The appraisal one actually shut down because of when the new laws came out in 2009, 10, and 11 from Congress about how loans would be made and how appraisals would be done. You know, we knew the writing was on the wall. It had zero value at that point. So we knew to shut that one down. But the rest of them I made money on. And I learned each step of the way. And the biggest lesson, guys, for everybody listening here, is it's the people that you hire. That's the key. there's plenty of systems and structures and books you can read and courses you can take, and they're all good. I've taken, probably over $1 million worth of training in my lifetime. But the key thing is you got to really get good at interviewing people and hiring the right people and putting them in the right position. So you're the bus driver, and you got to get the right people on the right seats on the right bus in order to make that thing go. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself not only trying to drive the bus, but also trying to be the people in the seats at the same time. As you can imagine, that doesn't work too well. So remember this: if I can give you one piece of advice, it's the first defining the role you want to fill, and then finding the right person who has the right character traits and personality to fill that role. Now it sounds simple, I'm simplifying it, but there are systems and tools to allow you to do that. Okay.
What are some of the tips you've learned over the years of how do you, once you've defined that role and you want to fill it, in today's market, what's your favorite way or ways to find someone to fill that role?
Well, I'm actually pretty lucky now because I have a team of what we call investor agents all over the country, and I coach them personally one-on-one. It's not like a typical brokerage. These are not your typical agents. They're investors, and they're or agents trying to be investors, and we teach them. So what gives me, Jay, is it gives me a group of people, 140 some odd people that I get to know personally and see how they operate in good times and bad. How do they react emotionally to challenges? Do they see and seize opportunities? So I get to pick from those people and promote and develop from within. Where in the old days, I would literally just put the word out on the street. I'm looking for somebody. And everybody can have access to this, by the way. It's called a DISC profile, DISC. Too much to go into a podcast, but just remember, you can Google that DISC profile. It'll help you identify people's tendencies. There's certain people that are more likely to be accountants. There's certain people that are more likely to be leaders. There's certain people that are more likely to be salespeople, right? There's certain people that are more likely to be admin and support type people. So you get good at identifying those traits by having simple conversations. And you'll know if you need a bookkeeper, you look for somebody who's more of a CS type, C being they're analytical and S being they're supportive, So that it's you get better at it. Just like math or riding a bike, you've got to start. And right now is a good time to start, by the way, if you haven't started yet. Just follow that model and you get better and better at it as time goes on,
Makes a lot of sense. Well,
Yep.
you started this group of people, and you call it the Global Investor Agent Team. Global
Mhm.
Investor Agent Team. So let's talk about that. What is it, and how does it work? And what is it?
Yeah. Well, actually, it all started off almost purely by accident. So, in the old days, back before the year 2000, all of the realtors carried around these big giant books with all the listings. And I wasn't an agent back then, but I used agents to do my investing. And I always get them to give me the last month's book because they would get a brand new book every month. I said, just give me the last book, and I would scour through the properties, looking at the ones that look promising. And what I realized was most of the agents were not trained to help me as an investor. Wonderful people, they're all trained to help you and I buy our own homes to live in, but not investor properties. So out of frustration, I decided, well, I'm going to get my license, and I'm going to solve that problem. I'll have access to the MLS because in early 2000, most parts of the country took their MLS, their listings, and put them online on these what's called multiple listing services, MLSs. So literally, the year I got my license was the year our area went on the online MLS. And a lot of the agents were afraid they're going to lose their jobs, blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, you're not going to lose your jobs. This is going to make your job easier. Okay. So lo and behold, I'm training investors how to invest. And by the way, Jay, I wasn't running around the country jumping on different stages. I literally taught in classrooms on Saturdays, a couple of Saturdays a month. That's how I taught people locally. And it was easily, 24,000 people over the years. But in those classes, turns out some of the people like me had their license. Okay. But the ones that didn't, they all wanted to use me as their agent. I would say, no, I don't do that. And then after about 100 times, I'm thinking, well, God's trying to hit me over the head with a 4x4 and wants me to say yes. So one day I went in class. I said, look, I can take out 2 of you as clients. And of course, there's 25 people in class. So what happens when you tell a group of 25 people that only 2 of them can do the thing they want to do? Well, they all want to be that 2 people. So I learned my first marketing lesson, which was scarcity and urgency. I was scarce, and those people felt it was urgent for them to come approach me right away. Well, what I thought was I need to teach other agents how to do what I'm doing because I can't take everybody on. So I built a brokerage company, and it was called Win Realty Advisors, by the way. And it was the fastest growing brokerage in that region, 3 years running. We literally grew 6-fold. We doubled 3 years in a row. Well, I taught the agents how to do what I had already learned to do, which is work with investors. And I created a program around that. That was pure. By the way, the first training program was how to buy rentals. The second one was how to work with investors. And that was purely because I realized I got to teach the agents how to do this. Purely just a need. It was a need that had to be served locally. And Jay, that's the thing that took off. So that little program right there is what got me to eventually travel around the country, like some of the other folks you're familiar with, you and Ron and Dwan and all the other all the greats, and teach people about investing. So I was running around the country teaching agents how to work with investors, and I realized after a couple of years, I'm thinking, well, that's been fun. I love staying in nice hotels and eating at nice restaurants every day, but the human body can only take that for so long. So I decided I need to go online. And that was right when the pandemic hit. And I thought, well, if I'm going to go online and everybody else is online, I'm going to build a team of these agents around the country. And that's exactly what I did. And it is far more than exceeded my expectations. I mean, we've got agents in over half the states. We've only been doing it for 2 years, and tremendous results. Obviously, because we work with investors, we're outproducing what's called the National Association of Realtors, NAR. They produce numbers, the volume, how many agents, how many transactions. We're double that on the team, and it's because we work with investors,
So why would a real estate agent want to become part of this team?
Well, initially I would say it was for agents who have an interest in investing, or they're already investors and they, like me, got their license, right? But now what I would tell people, we're pretty sure, in fact, that we're not only pretty sure, we know for a fact, mathematically, statistically, the market is changing. When you jack up prices like it's going on for the last 5 years, and then all of a sudden you jack up the cost of borrowing money, interest rates have gone up, it pulls people out of the market, okay? And so that seesaw of supply and demand starts to drop, right? And then automatically supply starts to increase. So what that means is investors are waiting and ready for that to happen. And it's already starting to happen. That seesaw is turning where there's more supply than demand. And when that happens, all the traditional agents that are not used to working with investors, they don't know the last recession, half the agents left the business. So what I'm telling people now is if you're an agent and you want to not just survive but thrive, you have got to take this seriously. You don't wait around and see what's going to happen. Those are the agents that are going to unfortunately not be around in a couple of years. So whether you can go to the website, just click on a little button that says learn more. That's all you got to do. But no matter what even if you don't work with me, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to tell you this is the gospel truth. I've been through 5 recessions, okay? And every time there's different circumstances, but the fundamentals are always the same. Supply and demand is like the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. It's going to be there every single day. Same thing with supply and demand. It's that seesaw. And if you're an agent and you're not seeing what's going on, or you're not sure, or you're just scared, go to the website, click the button, and have a conversation, especially if you have an interest in investing. That's really, if you're interested in investing, you're who we want to talk to. If you're not, we'll pray for you. Okay.
So what is that website, Gary?
It's globalinvestoragent.com. Globalinvestoragent.com. Yep. It's real plain and simple too, Jay. We didn't bog it down with all kinds of details and 5,000 buttons you can push. We just said, look, this is what it is, this is how it is, and this is where it is, and click here to learn more. We made it about as simple as you can possibly get. And get this, we also put all the other investor agents on there. names, numbers, emails, so you can look them up, talk to them. You can go talk to the people actually doing it. Look at their testimonials. Um, we literally made it just plain and simple as we possibly could.
What are some of the key components, or what are some of the key strategies that that a trained real estate agent by yourself, um, what's the key things for them to learn to know how to do that makes them a good realtor to work with an investor?
Oh yeah,
Now, and I know that's different from them because you're training them how to be an investor as and as a real estate
Mhm.
agent. But you mentioned a few moments ago that you just couldn't find a realtor that really knew how to
Yeah,
help you as an investor. So what are some of the key practices that
yeah.
they need to know how to do?
Great question. So we have a mantra on our team, which is this: success is a formula with three parts, three variables equal success. One is you got to have the right education, guys. Okay. If if you're not learning how to invest, you got to work with somebody who's going to teach you how to invest. And the next thing is the right information. And the cool thing about the right education is it teaches you how to get and use the right information. And the third step is the right action. And those three things, the right education, right information, and the right action equals the right results. So here's what I mean with this. Practical terms, guys. Okay. We first teach you how to invest. The terminology, the methodology, not just learning, but we call it learning and earning. You're going to learn and you're going to implement. While it's guided training, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. And that's a good thing. And the reason I built it this way is most agents are broke. So I thought, well, how can I do this so they don't have to pay money up front? Well, you don't. It comes out of a small team split or commission. So we teach you how to invest, and you're going to implement what you learn in the field. The best way to learn this business is to just do it. Study it with the training, implement it with your coach. And I coach everybody directly one-on-one. Now you're learning how to do it with real properties and real people and real money. That's going to be the best way to learn. That's how you have to learn. Okay. So you have to first learn how to invest yourself, right? Learn the terminology and methodology. Then you got to gather the right information. So I'm going to give you a big tip here. There's lots of systems out there that allow you to access property and people data all over the world. But most cases, let's just say right here in the good old US. Every county, there's 3,144 counties in the country, and all but a small handful are online. You can go online to your county's property database and find out who owns any property, how long they've owned it, if they're current on their property taxes. Um, if it's in an LLC, you can find out the name of the LLC and then go Google the LLC at your state bureau of incorporation, see who set it up. Okay, then you can skip trace them. Skip tracers, there's companies that when you feed them a name and an address, they'll go out and get the phone numbers and emails. So that information is vital. And what we do, Jay, we're strategic with what we do. So we don't just broadcast thousands of postcards. That does work, by the way. It's just very time consuming, very expensive in time, energy, and money. And it's also very inefficient. So what we do is we do have access, by the way, to bankruptcy, foreclosure, and probate. Everybody can get that. But what we do is we look for stuff that other people aren't looking at. We look to find people, for example, who've owned the property 25 years or more and have not paid this year's property taxes. Would you say that person, Jay, is probably slightly motivated to maybe want to or need to sell?
Sure sounds like it.
Yep. So then we have 50 some odd letters we can use, but one of in particular we call the team letter, and it outproduces all the other letters. It's one I wrote probably 12 years ago. Short, 7 sentences, no letterhead, okay, and nothing about me. I don't put in there I'm number one, I'm ABR, I'm CR, stuff that investors and consumers don't even know what it is anyways. We just talk about them. We use the word you or your 10 times in 7 sentences, right?
Hmm.
So that's what you get. So you get the education, you get the information, then you target your audience and approach them correctly with the right kind of a letter, with a handwritten envelope, by the way, and then you follow up with a phone call a week later. And that percentage of what we call the conversion rate is the highest I've seen in any marketing campaign in any company anywhere. Nobody even comes close to it. And by the way, we've got 20 of campaigns just like that.
Right. So that letter, it sounds like or is the letter direct in saying that you are an agent and you are interested in, or asking if they are interested in listing or selling their house?
Exactly. Actually, that letter was when I used myself as an investor years ago to approach people. And I would tell them, so you've seen the letter, I want to buy your house. Now, let's face it, I know some people will respond to that, but most people are thinking, well, how do you know? I never met you. Yeah, have you seen my house? How did you see my house? Because I'm living here. So here's my letter. I'll just give it to everybody if you want to, you can try to remember this. It's Dear Jay, I'm writing to you about your property located at 123 Main Street. I'm not suggesting you sell your property if you don't want to. However, inventory is tight right now, and I have clients like Mr. Wilson who want to buy a property just like yours in your area. So even if you're just curious about what your property would sell for, please let me know. Be happy to give you a free evaluation. Then below that, we identify ourselves as a real estate agent. You have to by law. But see, if you put a letterhead up there, Jay, up top, most of the people won't get past the letterhead. Oh, another one of those guys, and they throw it away. We name the recipient personally, and then we named our property personally. We use you or your 10 times, and we use the short 2-word phrase, sell what your house would sell for, twice in that letter. It's called an embedded command. And we've had mailings, so we've had as many as 24% response rate. One neighborhood, literally half the recipients responded to the letter. Never saw that before. But that's one of our favorite techniques to get properties for ourselves as investors, and change the wording a little bit to get properties for our clients who are investors.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a really important point, and that is, in marketing, the more one-to-one that you can be and not
Mhm.
business to one, the better
Mhm.
your response is going to be. I mean, it's like you say, they see letterhead and chunk. That's going in
Yep.
the trash can, right?
Yep.
So you've got it
Yeah.
written like it's a personal letter, and it
It
is.
is. It is. Very much, very much. I tell people, it's just like when you're writing marketing, I tell people, write as if you're writing to one person who you already know. That's not a secret, but it's a hard to do because our brain's telling us we're writing to 1,000 people. So we're going to say, dear neighbor, dear friend, all of you, all you guys, don't do that. It's mano a mano, one-on-one, you know? Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Yep.
Gary, you've just been so successful. What is one personal habit you've got of yours that you just
Mhm.
say really lends itself to you being so successful?
Well, I tell you what, over the years, some of these character traits I was born with, some I developed, but being persistent, resilient, consistent, disciplined, all those things that have nothing to do with how smart my brain is, or how I'm probably average at best looking, and I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Those are the character traits that will help you work a little bit harder than the guy next to you. Now, for me personally, what allows me to do that over all these years is every morning I'm up before 5. I spend about 2.5 hours prayer, meditation, exercise. Then I eat healthy, right? So proper exercise, proper diet, and good sleep. But I start the day off that way, and so my mindset, I'm connected, I'm grounded, I'm already well ahead of everybody else as far as being a positive thinking person. Even stuff still happens. Yeah, I get flat tires just like anybody else. I got children that get sick, parents fall down, all those things happen, but they don't derail me. What I do is I address that, whatever is that, you address it directly. You hit it head on, take care of it, and then when you get back to your day, you'll get back to where you were. You'll know where you were, because the other thing I do is I'm a excellent planner. Like, I create a vision each year. I do this: vision, goals, actions, plan. I do an actions database before I plan, and I execute my plan. And half of it's in pencil, because I know half my time is God's going to reserve for His things, and I need to be open and ready for that. So, but what that allows me to do is, because I don't plan an entire day, only plan half a day, I can absorb the things that come up on the fly and get back to my plan. And I'll tell you this, guys, everybody listening, I know you got problems, and I know you got through them because you're here listening to this podcast. I can tell you, if you can get through a crisis mode in times of crisis, take action in times of crisis, Why not take action, meaningful, directed action in good times, not just in times of crisis? Do it every single day. Live with that sense of urgency. Okay. And at the end of the day, if you get derailed, just tell yourself, I'm not going to bed till I do one more thing. 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Jay, if you did 5 more minutes a day, you would have 30 plus hours in a year more than the guy next to you. In 30 hours, we can accomplish all kinds of things. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, let's one more time, Gary, let's give out your website and why people should go to your website.
Sure. It's globalinvestoragent.com. And it's a really simple website. You go in there, you can click on a button that says learn more. That's all you got to do. But if you want to scroll down, you can click on all the testimonials, totally unsolicited, never asked for a single one of them, hundreds of them. You can look at the agents on there, contact the agents on the team. Down below, I give 4 little videos, 1 minute each, that tell you why you should do this, why you need an automated lead generating system, whether you're an investor or an agent, why you need the correct marketing, why you need to be on a team of other people doing what you're doing. We didn't even talk about that, Jay, but boy, is that critical. You can, anybody, here's an old secret. You can go faster by yourself, but you can go further with a team. Okay. And finally, being able to invest for yourself. Isn't that what this is all about? For all you agents out there listening, don't you want to invest yourself? Get some passive income coming in? Can you imagine having 10 paid off properties when you're 60 years old, in addition to all the other income you hopefully have coming in? That's what this is all about,
Absolutely. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show with me. This has been fantastic.
You're welcome, Jay. It's good seeing you again, man. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. And I hope that what I've said and shared will help a number of people for you,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. Another amazing episode of the show. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, and I really need your help. I really appreciate the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the 5-star ratings, and the reviews. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure and click that bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. Well, I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority, wishing you all the best. Here's to taking your business to the next level. And we'll see you right here on the next show. Gary, that was fantastic. And Scott, I'm happy with that intro if we want to.